Hello, very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Good morning,
sir.
sir.
How are you all doing?
Morning, sir. Yeah, fine, sir.
Great, amazing. So first of all, a very, very warm welcome to all of you to your final year of graduation. A very mixed feeling it should be because you are moving in your career, which is a very happy moment for all of us. But at the same time, you are at the very last stage of your graduation, and we are really hoping that you get to resume the college as soon as possible. So, with that, let me welcome you once again to your TY BSc in microbiology. And it's going to be a long journey, let me tell you that, because TY microbiology is always something which gives you a lot as you go ahead. It's a big learning process. You are going to learn a lot of things that you were not aware of till date. You are going to plunge into those areas of microbiology which you may not have learned in much details, till the last 2 years. So it's going to be a big, fun ride, and at the same time, it's going to build up a lot of pressure. But keep in mind that you have, you know, you should not get stressed with the pressure, because you have to take the pressure positively. Always, people would scare you that TY is so vast, there's so much to study. All that is true. You do any course, you have to put in efforts, right? You cannot say that, okay, I don't want to study, or I can give only an hour or two. It doesn't work like that. And this is going to be a crucial year, because you have to start preparing yourself for what your future aim is going to be. I never tell the students that, okay, now you have to do masters. It doesn't work like that. You have to identify where your interest lies in. Do you really want to continue in science? Do you really want to continue with microbiology, or do you want to broaden your field by doing a master's in biological sciences? Or do you really want to do masters, or do you want to switch to a field which may not be very related to science? All that is completely fine, but the thought process has to begin, because in no time you will see that you are at the end of your graduation, and then thinking about what to do is going to build up more pressure. So take your time, explore things, read more, talk to people, come to a conclusion of what you want to do, and then accordingly start preparing for it. Because if you want to do masters, you will have to give entrances, you will have to prepare for the interviews. So obviously the department will take efforts to train you for that via Vyakhya. That will surely happen. So those who want to do masters or are planning for integrated masters and PhD course should surely enroll for that. Start brushing up on your basics, read books, read research papers, see what currently is going on in research in the area that you like. That's very, very important. Start networking, very significant again, because the more you are visible, the more chances or opportunities you get. So keep in mind that it's not just an academic stage, but it's a stage for your overall growth, for your overall development. Start communicating, very, very important. Most of you in the last 1 year, you would have seen a difference in yourself, wherein eventually during the virtual year, you started becoming mom, because you were so saturated, and that happens to all. But we should not let that set in within us, because our communication skills are very significant when we go out tomorrow to give interviews for masters or for integrated courses. So see to it that you are being interactive, you're being, you have to speak out what you feel. It's completely fine. And now you are in TBI, you need not be afraid of what we will say, because I feel that the more you grow in age, you start understanding things much better. So it's completely okay to speak up your mind, and feel free to come up with your queries, with your questions. So as far as I am concerned, what am I going to deal with in your TBI BSc? So I will be dealing with your paper 3, which is biochemistry paper, but I'll not be dealing with the entire paper. I'll be dealing with 2 units, and the rest 2 will be dealt with by Niranjan sir. Okay, so Niranjan sir and me will be dealing with your paper 3, which is microbial biochemistry part 1. Okay, and other than that, I will be there in your practicals. Okay, so it's going to be my first time that I'll be dealing with TY BSc practicals. So I will be there with you guys in your microbiology practicals. So that's what I will be dealing with for you guys in the 3rd year. Okay. Now, to begin with, I am not going to bombard you with the concepts, but yes, we need to see what are we going to learn, how are we going to learn, and what things do you have to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to cast my screen and I'm going to show you the syllabus for microbial biochemistry, and we will see what are the things that we are going to learn in this particular paper. So just give me a minute to share the screen. Yeah. So I think the screen would be loading up for you. Let me know once it's visible to you guys.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Great. Okay. So you can see that the syllabus of this paper begins with the course code. The course code is RUSMIC 503 because it's paper 3 and the title is Microbial Biochemistry Part 1. Okay. So that's the paper, and you can see the course outcomes very clearly mentioned out there. So you will be having 4 units, and you will be learning a lot about the membrane structure of microorganisms and how it supports solute transport. Because before you understand how components or biochemicals are metabolized, how are they transported in and out of the cell? What's the biochemistry of transportation? That's very important to understand, for which you first need to understand the membrane architecture. So you'll be learning that. You'll be also seeing how ATP molecules are synthesized, and you will be comparing the process of ATP synthesis in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So you can see that it's not completely prokaryotic biochemistry, but at different circumstances, you are going to be comparing the process with that of the eukaryotes as well. Okay. You will be learning about catabolism of carbohydrates. Okay, you will be seeing how the pathways are amphibolic. I'm sure that you have heard this term amphibolic, right? Which means that a pathway acts in both catabolism as well as anabolism. So what is its significance? How does it play a role in both catabolism and anabolism? Then you will have a look at different fermentative pathways in bacteria, because we know that fermentation is a very well-known part of microbial respiration. So what are the different kinds of fermentative pathways, and what are the products that are produced? How is it significant? That will be seen. You will also be having a look at anabolic processes for carbohydrates. So which means that it's not just about breakdown of carbohydrates, but you are also going to see how carbohydrates are synthesized. Okay, so you'll be having a look at anabolic pathways for carbohydrate synthesis in microorganisms. And finally, we will be doing some calculations. We will be doing some energetics calculations, wherein we make bioenergetics tables, a tally sheet of how many ATPs were utilized and how many ATPs were synthesized, so that we get to know the net gain of ATPs in a process, right? And obviously in practicals, you will be learning experiments related to the concepts that you learn here theoretically. Okay, so that's about the course outcomes. You can go through the course outcomes once you get your hands over the syllabus, so you can read the course outcomes and understand what your gain is going to be. So now looking at the syllabus, you have 4 units, as I said. The first unit begins with biological membranes and transport. So you will be, as I said, learning about the composition and architecture of membrane, the methods of studying solute transport, and different mechanisms of solute transport. Okay. While the second unit deals with bioenergetics and bioluminescence. So you are basically going to study how ATP molecules are synthesized in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So you'll be learning your ETC pathway, which you have learned in 12th standard also, in detail, and you try to compare the process in both prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. And you will also see how ATP synthesis takes place in other processes, wherein you talk about bacterial rhodopsin, right? You even talk about how ATP is significant for processes like bioluminescence, okay? And the entire biochemistry of bioluminescence will be taught to you over here. And what is its significance and how can you apply this in several techniques in the lab will all be discussed. So the first and the second unit, I'm not discussing it in much details because that is something that will be dealt with by Niranjan sir, okay? While the third and the fourth unit, which is biochemistry core, wherein you're going to learn all chemical reactions, okay? You're going to learn the pathways. That's what I'm going to do. So you can see the third unit over here, which deals with the methods of studying metabolism and catabolism. Okay, so that's what we are going to start with, the third unit. So here we have 2 sections. The first section is general. It has nothing to do with just carbohydrate metabolism, but metabolism in general. So we will be seeing that why do we study metabolism? What is the goal of studying metabolism? How is it going to help me? Okay, what are the different levels at which I can study metabolism? Okay, because it's not that I can study metabolism just at the cellular level. Can I study at the cell-free extract level? Can I study it at the tissue level? Can I study it at the organ level? So you see here, we are not focusing just on prokaryotic systems. We're trying to understand what are the different levels at which across kingdoms of organisms, how can I study the metabolic pathways? Okay, so for that, obviously, I have different tools. I have different techniques. Okay, I have techniques of using metabolic probes, making use of radioisotopes, making use of techniques like pulse labeling, making use of mutation as a technique to study biochemistry. All those techniques we will try and dissect and try to understand with examples. Okay, so this 3.1 part is more of theory, wherein you are trying to understand how do you study a metabolic pathway. So if tomorrow someone tells you that I have a bacteria which degrades petrol, so if someone tells me that we know that this bacteria degrades petrol, but I don't know the mechanism by which it degrades petrol, that's exactly what now you will have to do by experimentally analyzing how or what metabolic pathways are taking place in the process of degradation of petrol. So how will you study that process, right? So that you will come to know from this particular section. Then the second one, the 3.2 part, deals with the catabolism of carbohydrates. So it deals with all 3 levels of carbohydrates. That is polysaccharides, oligosaccharides, and then monosaccharides. Okay, so how do you, because see, it's not at all necessary that in nature you have carbohydrates in the form of simple sugars. No, they may be present as polymers, they may be present as polysaccharides, or they may be present as oligosaccharides, or they may be present as disaccharides. So how does a microorganism start from the level of a polysaccharide, break it down further, bring it to the level of simple sugars? So we are going to study the process right from the polymers, right from Polysaccharides like glycogen, starch, and cellulose, these are the most common, polysaccharides that we speak about when we talk about microorganisms utilizing polysaccharides as a source of nutrition, right? Then we will see once the polysaccharide is broken, see the polysaccharide is not going to be broken down directly to monosaccharides. It doesn't work like that. Okay, it's going to be broken down to a chain of small, a small number of sugar units. So we call them as oligosaccharides, right? They may be further broken down to disaccharides. And from disaccharides, you further break it down to monosaccharides. So it's a step-by-step process. So we will dissect that in that manner. And once the simple sugar is formed, then you enter the central metabolic process, wherein you talk about glycolysis, you talk about hexose monophosphate shunt pathway, you talk about ED, Entner-Diodoff pathway. These are three different pathways wherein you talk about metabolism of simple sugars, whether it's glycolysis, which we call as EMP, Embden-Meyerhoff-Parnis pathway, or you talk about HMP, which is hexose monophosphate shunt pathway, or ED, which is Entner-Diodoff pathway. So these are all alternatives to metabolize monosaccharides. But after that's done, whatever is produced from these processes need to go further into our most famous Krebs cycle, which we also call as TCA, that is tricarboxylic acid cycle. Post which we will also see other pathways like glyoxylate bypass. There is incomplete TCA in anaerobic organisms, and there are some filling up reactions which we call as anaplerotic reactions. So we will have an overview of the entire central metabolic process, and we will be doing all these in the form of chemical reactions with structures. Okay, so here is where students start getting afraid that how am I going to manage? Believe me, it is not difficult. Okay, it is not at all difficult. Rather, when people say that, I am going to study the metabolic process with just the names, let me tell you that's more trickier. Why is it trickier? Because when you just write the names, you are not seeing actually what is happening to the structure. What is the modification that is taking place? So that becomes more of a ratification process. We don't want to do that. Okay, so once you know what is exactly happening in this process, once you visualize that in the form of structures, that becomes much easy to assimilate and remember. So now students say that, okay, understanding is one part, but replicating that in the exam is going to be even more difficult task. Not at all. Not at all. Why? Because you need to write and practice this. So first and foremost, let me tell you that you all are going to have a separate notebook for Unit 3 and Unit 4. Okay? Because there are a lot of pathways to write. So you will need one entire book dedicated for that. So a separate notebook for Unit 3 and Unit 4 has to be maintained. You have to take pointers. See, biochemistry is something which is elaborate, very vast. So once you take pointers, it becomes easy for you to read, understand when you are actually going back to the reference books. So please take pointers. Do not be lazy in taking pointers. I make people write all chemical reactions with enzymes in the lecture itself. Okay, so please see to it that you are taking the effort of writing down the reactions. I myself will write the reactions. I will use whiteboard. I will write the reactions, give you time to note the reactions, but everything has to be systematically maintained in your book so that you know what have we discussed and you have things at one place. And please practice that. Okay, practice is only something which is going to make you perfect with chemical reactions. Now, if you say that, sir, this is a virtual session, no, then if exam also happens virtually, what is the use of practicing all this? वो अभी नहीं समझेगा, वो आपको समझेगा जब आप मास्टर्स में जाओगे। जब अगर आप किसी भी बायोलॉजिकल साइंस में मास्टर्स कर लो, बायोकेमिस्ट्री का एक पेपर पक्का होता है और वहां पर ये अज्यूम किया जाता है कि ये सेंट्रल मेटाबॉलिक प्रोसेसेस आपको पता होंगे। और जरूरी नहीं है ना कि आपको सब कुछ पूरा करियर आगे वर्चुअल होने वाला, नो। सो यू हैव टू टेक द एफर्ट टू प्रैक्टिस। ओके, I will conduct regular tests. I will tell you how it works with me in biochemistry. We have a set format for biochemistry lectures. Okay, because I know that this is where people fear. Remove that fear. Make it your friend. Make the subject your friend. Get rid of the fear. Okay, there is nothing to be afraid of. Let me tell you that if you systematically follow the pattern that I am giving to you for your study, no one can stop you from scoring out of marks in biochemistry. No one can stop you. I have record of last year students, your seniors batch, scoring pretty well in biochemistry. The only thing that you need to do is get rid of that fear of structures. If you keep that repeating in your mind that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is very difficult for me. You will not be able to do it because you have put that roadblock in your mind. Rather, be optimistic. Tell yourself that I will be able to do it. Let me see how this doesn't work for me. Keep that attitude. Go ahead and you will feel the difference. You'll see the difference. And let me tell you that I will make you write different kinds of tests. Okay, that is for sure. The first and foremost thing is that after every lecture, I normally conduct MCQ based tests, which is 10 mark, 15 mark test. Okay, that form will be kept open for a day's time only. एक दिन के लिए यानी 24 घंटे तक वो फॉर्म खुला रहेगा, आपको वो टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट करना है। Okay, now how does it work? I am not going to give you a test for the topics that I have taught in that lecture. No. So let us assume that 2 weeks down the lane, I will tell you to write a test of what was taught in the earlier week. So you're given time because we are going to meet every Monday, Tuesday. Every Monday, Tuesday, 8:35, we are going to meet. Okay, that's fixed. So if I have taught you something in the previous week, I will tell you to read that. Come the next week, and on Tuesday, after the lecture, I will give you that link. And I'll tell you that this is going to be open till 9:30 on Wednesday. So whenever time permits for you in the entire day, give that test. Okay, so those tests are going to be pretty regular. Other than that, you will have writing tests. Writing tests will be in a gap of 15 to 20 days. So whatever has happened in 15 to 20 days, you will be given a question paper. You will be given an entire week's time. पूरा एक हफ्ता दिया जाएगा आपको। आप वो पेपर देख के क्वेश्चन पढ़ो, फिर पढ़ के लिखो। I don't care. I want you to attempt that test. Even if you read the questions, prepare and write, it is okay. I want you to have a practice of writing answers. So that's going to happen. Okay? So these tests will happen. Don't pressurize yourself. How am I going to do it? Read on a daily basis. And I'll tell you how I'm going to make it simple for you as we go ahead. Okay? So the last part that you can see in the syllabus is studying the amphibolic role of glycolysis and Krebs, followed by making a tally sheet of the number of ATPs generated in aerobic respiration. That's unit 3. Okay. Unit 4 is fermentative pathways and anabolism of carbohydrates. So fermentative pathways, you will be basically learning lactic acid fermentation and you will be learning alcohol fermentation. So you'll see how within lactic acid fermenters also there are 2 categories, homofermenters and heterofermenters, and bifidobacteria has its own different pathway. While in alcohol fermentation, you will see how yeast and bacteria have slightly different process of alcohol fermentation. There are also other modes of fermentation where different acids and alcohols are produced, like mixed acid fermentation, butanediol fermentation. You have butyric acid fermentation, butanol acetone fermentation, propionic acid fermentation. So we will be learning all that. And finally, in anabolism of carbohydrates, you will be learning of what all things can we actually generate from glucose. So is it just glycogen? No. Okay, you will see that there are a plethora of molecules which can be generated from glucose and its metabolites. Okay, we will also see how you go reverse of glycolysis, that is from a non-carbohydrate molecule. How do you generate glucose, which we call as gluconeogenesis, or we call it as reverse glycolysis. We will also see how peptidoglycan, because glycan, this word indicates that there's carbohydrate moiety there, right? So how peptidoglycan, which is a very important component of the cell wall of bacteria, is synthesized. And we will also see some part of LPS, that's lipopolysaccharide and capsule synthesis, because there also you have carbohydrate moieties, right? So that will be the anabolism part of carbohydrates. Now, there are some things that I want you to note, okay? First and foremost is that you have a Google Classroom which has been created, right? So I will show you what I have done for you, okay? So, right. So are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can see that under paper 3, there is a Google Drive folder which reads ebooks for biochemistry. So as you click on that Google folder, I will show you how it appears. So this is how it appears. All the books that are needed for this term, okay, for all 4 units, right from unit 1 to unit 4 in biochemistry, is there in this drive, okay? Even if there is something missing, निरंजन सर के पार्ट से भी अगर कुछ मिसिंग है तो सर यहीं पर अपलोड करेंगे, तो ये कॉमन ड्राइव होगा फॉर एंटायर पेपर 3. अभी कुछ ऐसे बुक्स है जो ई बुक्स अवेलेबल नहीं है, जैसे कि कॉन एंड स्टम्प, तुमको भी पता है कॉन एंड स्टम्प एसवाई में रहा होगा, राइट? तो वो कॉन एंड स्टम्प का जो भी पार्ट है सिलेबस में, वो भी एटलीस्ट राइट नाउ फॉर माय पार्ट, दैट्स यूनिट 3 एंड यूनिट 4, वो भी स्कैन करके पीडीएफ बना के ऑलरेडी अपलोड कर दिया गया है. ओके, सो एवरीथिंग दैट यू नीड एज रेफरेंस मटेरियल्स इज ऑलरेडी देयर here at one place. You have to just read it. Okay, so everything is at one place for your ease. This is one aspect. Okay, the second aspect is you can see that there is one-stop resource for unit 3 and unit 4. So it's a site, it's a Google site that I have created. So I will just show you, and I'll also share the link with you guys. It's already there on the classroom, but just for your convenience, I will also put the link in the chat box. Let me just see. So that's the link for the site. So this site is for unit 3 and unit 4. I will show you what I have done here. I hope that the site is visible to all of you. So here in this, you can see that the first thing is about the course. Okay, what the course is about, the lecture schedule, the course outcomes, and the syllabus for unit 3 and unit 4 has been put up over here. Okay, the entire syllabus for unit 3 and unit 4 has been put up over here. Other than that, I have uploaded my entire teaching plan for you guys so that there is complete transparency and you are not confused of what's going to happen in the next lecture. So the entire teaching plan for both the units is put up over here with the dates. Okay, obviously based on our discussion, there might be slight changes that will take place and that you will come to know as we go along the process. But you have an idea of what's coming next, right? Other than that, you will see that there is also lecture records. So if you miss something, you will see right now, अगर ये lecture खत्म हो गया तो यहाँ पे आपको reflect होते हुए दिखाई देगा कि आज हमने क्या किया है, आज हमने क्या discuss किया हुआ है, वो आपको यहाँ पर दिखाई देगा. Okay. Other than that, you have this tab of lecture recordings. So if you go on lecture recordings, right now there's nothing, but all recordings of the lectures for biochemistry are always given out to students, because when you sit and study, you get more questions. Okay, when you see the pathway, you get 100 questions. So you have to revisit the recordings. So the recordings will be put up over here. Biochemistry के recordings उस हफ्ते के recordings Wednesday या Thursday तक upload हो जाते हैं. Okay, so you will get the recordings over here. You will also be provided a playlist wherein all recordings will be put together. Okay, reading materials, if there are any extra links, okay, which are not the books but some papers and stuff like that, that will be put in reading materials section. Okay, references is what I want you to take a note of. So you will see that as you go to references section, every topic from the syllabus, 3.1a, goals of study, where do I have to read from? The book is written there. So you don't have to ask me 1,000 times that, sir, where is this from? It's already there in your site. So you have to just see it. Okay, so for this entire unit, you can see this is just unit 3. So I have distributed all topics. I have broken it down. If you know, even in the single topic, the books are different. I have broken down the topics like that. And I have written reference for every single topic there, and the books are already provided to you. So what is your job? Your job is to read. Start reading on a daily basis. You have no reason to say that, oh, we don't know the reference, oh, we don't have the book. Everything is provided to you. You have to start reading, right? All assessments, all your Google form links or any other assessments will be posted over here. Okay, so you will have to see that from this section. Okay, so that's about what you have to refer from this site. So please keep a check on this site constantly. Things will be posted over here for your reference, right? Now, other than this, I will also show you just a minute. Let me know if the PPT is visible to you guys.
Yes, sir.
Great. So all presentations will also be given out to you on the website. Okay, all PPTs will be uploaded there. So you can see how the PPT is going to be. This is again for your, information that I'm telling you this, that what exactly is going to be there. So every presentation, you will basically see what we are going to start with. Okay, so that will be marked out specifically. Okay, and you will also see at the end of that presentation that whatever was discussed, where it has to be read from. So not just the separate reference section, but even the presentations will tell you that whatever topic was discussed in this presentation, in this session, where is it exactly going to be from. Okay, so I'm trying to make the things available for you at a single click. So it's now up to you to take complete advantage of that and work towards it. Okay, and please feel free to ask questions. It is completely okay to ask even the dumbest of the questions, silliest of the questions. It is fine. Okay, we will be going at our own pace. If you even see the teaching plan that has been put, 2 units के लिए 30 lectures allotted होते हैं, but because these are metabolic pathways, वो 30 lectures में खत्म नहीं होता है, वो उससे आगे ही जाता है. So you will see that even in my teaching plan, I have exceeded the number of lectures. I will try to, see how we can adjust, but I'm not going to rush through the syllabus because that's not going to help you. So please study on a day-to-day basis. Things will be very easy for you if you do that on a day-to-day basis. Right? 2 lectures है एक हफ्ते में, तो वो 2 lectures में क्या हुआ, अगर वो हफ्ते में आप complete कर देते हो, तो आपका काम बहुत easy हो जाएगा. Okay? As far as writing is concerned, biochemistry का अगर समझो हम लोग reopen करते हैं, let us assume that they tell their for the last year of graduation and post-graduation, you have reopened. So, you know, biochemistry written exam is something that you have to be really working towards, because सारे reactions लिखने पड़ेंगे, enzymes लिखने पड़ेंगे, pathways flowchart के format में put up करने पड़ेंगे, काफी सारे values होते हैं जो आपको याद रखने पड़ते हैं. So you have to have the writing practice also simultaneously. So I will recommend and I will plead that please write the reactions and practice at least once. At least once. Okay, only then it sets in. Okay, and these efforts are going to help you in the long run. क्योंकि बायोकेमिस्ट्री एक ऐसा सब्जेक्ट है ना, तुम जेनेटिक्स बोलो, तुम मोलिकुलर बायोलॉजी बोलो, तुम इम्यूनोलॉजी बोलो, एवरीथिंग कम्स डाउन टू बायोकेमिस्ट्री स्टूडेंट्स. ये फैक्ट है. जेनेटिक्स में भी तुम जब बात करते हो कि भाई प्रोटीन बन रहा है या डीएनए रेप्लिकेट हो रहा है या ट्रांसक्रिप्शन हो रहा है, you are playing with chemicals there. It's normally you will see that most of these processes are elucidated very well in biochemistry books, because these are all biochemical reactions that are taking place. You talk about immunology, cytokines, you talk about antibodies, you talk about virulence factors expressed by the pathogen, their interactions, all these are biochemical reactions ultimately. So biochemistry is something that you cannot ignore. ये पीछा छोड़ने वाला नहीं. So उसको दुश्मन समझने से better है उसको दोस्त बनाना. Then the work, you know, becomes pretty much easier for us. And do not take it lightly. I request you, do not take it lightly, because biochemistry is a paper wherein if you do well, you do excessively well, and if you ignore it, then it's very difficult, right? So it's not that the paper is difficult, it's that you are being difficult. That's the difference, okay? So please see to it that you are working from day one. So when we meet on next Monday and we start with the concepts, we start discussing the goals of study and levels of organization, your aim has to be that उस वीक में जो कुछ हुआ है वो मुझे पढ़ के खत्म करना है, मुझे जो भी डाउट्स आएंगे वो मुझे क्लैरिफाई करना है. ये बहुत एसेंशियल. ओके, टीवाई एक बहुत ही सिग्निफिकेंट ईयर है in terms of your learning process, in terms of shaping up your future plans. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you don't take adequate rest. Please rest well. Okay, take out time for yourself. It's very essential. People always say that, sir, itna kaam hai, itne presentations hai, assignment hai, ye hai, wo hai. But then let me tell you that time humko hi nikalna padega. Okay, we have to work towards it intentionally and take out time for ourselves. Okay, and you have to plan it for yourselves. And you know, plan का ये मतलब नहीं होता मैं लिख के निकालता हूँ, हाँ मैं आज ये करूँगा, ऐसे करूँगा, वैसे करूँगा, उसमें से कुछ नहीं होता. Yeah, I am sure that maximum of you would have done this 1,000 times, that you make a study plan, you are hardly able to follow it, isn't it? Yes or no? How many of you have done that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Making
Yes,
a
sir.
stupid plan which is so elaborate and so ambitious, and it never materializes, right? So don't do that. Don't, you know, the moment you see that, oh, there is too much, you end up doing nothing because it becomes overwhelming. So take it positively, take one day at a time, see what you want to do today, do that. It's okay. Take out time for yourself as well. Rest enough. That's very important. You need to take adequate rest. You need to, you know, engage yourself in something else other than just academics. That's very, very important, right? So जितना तुम पढ़ाई के लिए वक्त निकालोगे, थोड़ा बहुत वक्त तुमको बाकी एक्टिविटीज के लिए भी निकालना बहुत जरूरी है. Okay, engage more in communication. Okay, read more about the areas that you like. Also do that simultaneously, maybe not on a daily basis, but whenever you get time, do that as well. All these are very, very significant. So I hope that you will have a very, very enriching year ahead. I really hope that this year turns out to be very, very fruitful for you. Okay, and really hoping that we all get to come back to our offline mode quite soon. I don't know how many of you have taken vaccines. Can I know how many of you here are vaccinated as of now?
Yes, sir, I have taken the vaccine.
Yes, sir. Even I have taken.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Even I have
sir.
taken.
Yes, sir, even
Very
I have
good.
taken.
So how was your experience? How was your experience? जिसने वैक्सीन लिया बाकी के लोग, I think that if you have no other health issues and if everything is good, you should go for the vaccination, because whenever the government gives a call to reopen, I think that would be one of the criteria that you should be vaccinated. So at least with the first dose. So you should go ahead with the vaccines, right? It is not at all dangerous and stuff until and unless you have some complications. Otherwise, you should surely go for it. It's very, very essential so that you can get back to your regular schedule very soon, right? So please do that as well. Keep a check on it and get vaccinated as soon as possible. That is, again, very important, because that could be one of the criteria for you to return back to the lab. Right? Yes, so do you have any questions to ask? Do you want to know anything about TYBSc? Any general question that you have, please feel free to ask. We have some time, about 8 minutes, so we can have a discussion.
So when are we going to get the timetable?
Okay, so syllabi and timetable. Syllabi will be uploaded on the website page of the department, so please keep a constant check over there. So the syllabus will be uploaded there, and the timetable will be mailed to you by the head of the department once it's approved by the college administration. Okay? It has been sent for approval. Once it's approved, the HOD will send it to you. Otherwise, anyways, teachers will be telling you that who is going to come when, so it's easy for you to make a grid on yourself as well. Till we don't know how much time it takes for the approval. So you very well know अभी आज Tuesday है तो कौन lecture ले रहा है. मैंने तो बता दिया Monday Tuesday मैं 8:35 को lecture लूँगा. So 8:40 rather, because it's 50 minutes lectures. So 7:45 to 8:35 is the first lecture. You get a 5 minutes break and you start at 8:40. Then it ends at 9:30 and your third lecture starts at 9:35. Okay, so that's how it is planned. So you will get the timetable once it's approved. The HOD will mail it to you. Anything else that you all wish to ask? Anyone? That's it. Okay, so that's great. I think that for today we can stop here. The link is given to you for the site. Please take out time and start going through it so that you know where is what. And the reason that I have not put the reference book drive link on the site is that it's actually not correct to give out ebooks easily. Okay, I mean it's for a cost, but we in academic setup we just share the ebooks just like that, right? So it has copyrights, so it's not allowed to give it out on a public platform. So that's the reason why what we have done is we have put all the books as a Google Drive folder on the Google Classroom. Okay, so you can refer to it from there. While for the rest of the references, which are review papers or research papers, then they will be put on the Google site. Okay, fine. So great. I'm looking forward to having a great interaction throughout the year, and let us see how it goes, and hoping for a very, very enthusiastic year for you guys. Thank you so much, and see you all in the next week on Monday at 8:35. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.